attention at the repeated insistence of many times. I know every day I'm going to be doing these little goodbyes, but I promise we will have a press shop. Not everyone is leaving. I did it many times. I think what I'm saying is I don't want to get ahead of what the president. No, I have it.
Who briefed the president on baby formula? To say there is no specific person is not a satisfactory answer. When you have senior assistants to the president, there's a paper trail, I'm sure, about briefings to the president. There's a domestic policy council. There's a chief of staff. At some point, we need to know who would have been the most likely person to talk to him.
I think, as you know, you've covered many administrations, and there are just regular channels that happen that go to the president.
It just looks like it's evasive to not have the most senior people in the White House willing to say, I had a conversation with the president about it, or we talked about it in this context or that context. And we're also all reporting on the consumer side of it, of what you're doing, putting out and trying to get information. But we're also trying to understand the information flow in this White House, and it's important for us to get that answer, which is why we're going to keep asking it until we get that answer.
No, you have every right to keep asking. That's why I'm here. That is just the process that we have.
Chief of staff, then?
I'm not going to confirm who it was. I'm just letting you know that there are regular channels that we use.
Is he going to bring any of the key players from Capitol Hill to the beach with him tonight?
Oh, okay. So I don't have.
Wasn't a big part of candidate Biden's whole thing that he knows how to get things done.
He does. He does. I mean,
I'm asking why it is that you can say he wants to give these negotiations.
Do you want to go to the beach with the president tonight? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I would love to.
Look, I do. Well, that touche on that. The weather, it is pouring outside like cats and dogs. It is not great.
Why
Absolutely.
would this president then say he wants to give it some space and let somebody else?
But you're also going to hear. You're going to hear from the president tonight. We are going to give them some space to see what they come up with. The president. The most important thing here is the president wants Congress to take action.
Earlier by a few people, I want to just ask this again with all due respect.
Yeah.
Were you able to speak with the president about when he was informed in April?
He talked about it himself. He said he was informed in April. So I don't think I need to. The president mentioned that. He said that. So I don't need to clear that up. You heard directly from the president on that.
I asked it at least as you talked yesterday about February 17th and February 18th. And what we were trying to figure out is when exactly in April was he told? Was it April 1? Was it April 30th? Was it April 15th? Somewhere else in there?
I don't have a date to share with you. What I can tell you is he spoke to this yesterday, and he said it was in April. So that matters.
Take it down a level from him
into
the staff of the White House. And part of the reason there's so much curiosity about this across town is because, as you know, there have been stories written over the last several days and weeks about how things are going here in the West Wing, how things are operating. And so when we ask who was told, either by the FDA or the Department of Health and Human Services or the USDA here in the West Wing, who was told first? How did that get from that person eventually to the president? As completely understandable. There are thousands of things going on across the federal government
today. There are thousands of things.
And so we're trying to get a sense of how do things operate here inside the West Wing and how they eventually rise to the level of presidential involvement that then lead to things like invoking the Defense Production Act 4 or 5 months after the initial flags were raised.
So, Ed, the president was briefed through his regular channels. You're asking me for a specific name. I am telling you how the process works.
Any conversations with any cabinet secretaries or the FDA commissioner once he was confirmed in February about the formula shortage before April?
I don't have any meetings to read out specifically on that for you. Look, as you all know, the president spoke to this yesterday. As more abnormalities were seen in supply and sales started to decrease in April, and because people have asked about this, senior White House staff made the president aware of the problem, and this was in April. I don't have any calls to read out for you.
Which senior White House staff made the president?
So as you know, the president deals with issues on a regular basis, and that boils up to him. And it's just there's no specific person that I can call out to you, but it's the regular way that we move forward through the regular channels. I don't have a specific person, but that's kind of how it goes on.
The White House had some very hard headlines this week about inflation and about baby formula. If there's nothing new that you can point to in this speech tonight, did you just schedule it to get people talking about something else?
This is not about politics. This is not about partisan politics here. This is something that he has worked on since he was a senator. This is very important and real for the president. I'm hearing this right, could be used as a political tool, and that's not what this is. This is not about partisan. These are.
Oh, we're not getting that this time.
No, look, we've laid out timelines over and over again.
Well, you gave us 2 dates.
Well-
And then tell us generally in April he was told about it.
Okay, so by late, let me try again. Let's try this again. By late in April, but again, the sales were going down and shortages were appearing in late April, and that's when
That's what he was told?
well, he said in late April, right? And this is
He said April.
in April. I'm sorry, in April. Okay, he said in April, in early April. The point that I'm making is what we started to the president.
Part of why this is intriguing is because we know from what you've said, from what your colleagues have told us, from what we've learned in our reporting over the last year and a half, is that he's a voracious consumer of information from across the federal government. And whenever he gets briefed on something like this, he asks a lot of questions. And he usually puts it to the staff to come back with him with some solutions or some answers to these questions. So the idea that he was told about this in April, and then it didn't get elevated until mid-May, when Congress and when the press started raising bigger questions about this, begs the question of, well, then what happened in April when this very curious, very detail-oriented president in briefings would have been told about it, and when steps were taken that are now underway? That's part of what is so intriguing and curious about this situation, and why we're so desperate for information, because normally in these situations, we're told, oh, well, here's what he wanted to know, and here's who he tasked with doing.
Formula, I know you got a lot of questions about this yesterday. I'm wondering if you had an opportunity to speak with the president since his comments yesterday when he said he was not informed about the situation until May. Has he expressed any disappointment in his staff for not bringing this issue to him earlier? Are there any concerns about the information flow in the White House that, given the manufacturers told him very directly they knew this would be a problem in February and he didn't know about it until months later? Has he expressed concern about that gap and how that squares with the whole of government approach you outlined yesterday?
So this is something that we're going to continue to work on.
Right, but that doesn't answer the question about when the president was informed and whether or not he is satisfied with the staff not telling him about what has become a major
Well,
problem.
he spoke to when he was informed. He spoke to that yesterday, which was in April. You're asking me about the process and is he disappointed? Look, I'm telling you, the administrator of FDA spoke to this. They moved too slowly.
That's the FDA administrator, that's not the president. Those are two different
No, but I'm
individuals.
telling you the process. I'm telling you what happened. We acted. We took urgent action. So that is the way that it happened. That is the way the timeline was laid out. And so that is. You may not like my answer, but that is the way that we see it in answering your question there. Go ahead.
Out tomorrow morning, the ADP report that came out came in much lower than what economists had projected. Are you guys expecting a less than optimal jobs report tomorrow? And usually the president speaks on the economy on jobs day. Is he going to do that, even though he's going to be in Delaware?
So I don't have anything. We don't have anything to preview for you for tomorrow. Our day ahead or our daily guidance is going to be coming out in a couple of hours. I don't have an estimate for you and haven't seen the numbers as clearly. But what we can say is that as we transition to this new period of stable, steady growth, we aren't looking to see blockbuster job reports month after month like we have over the last year, but that's a good thing. That's the sign of a healthy economy with steady job growth, rising wages for working Americans, everyday cost easing up, and a shrinking deficit. That stability will put us in a strong position to tackle inflation.